Well, my second favorite metaphor is Einstein's metaphor that everyone is a genius, but if you ask a fish to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid. And what I find is true is that most of us are believing that everybody else on the planet, or at least some special someone's on the planet, were born to be those people that could climb the tree. You know, they were the monkeys. And the monkeys climbed the tree really easy, and the rest of us fish are sitting here thinking that there's something wrong with us because our genius is not to climb a tree. But each of us has our own unique creative genius, and unique is the operative word. You know, I get kind of crazed with people that talk about the creativity crisis, that there's a creativity crisis in the world. There have been tons of studies. IBM did a great one with a lot of CEOs from many different countries. And their biggest concern moving into the future was creativity. Would there be enough creativity and create enough innovation? And thus it became titled the creativity crisis. Well, there is no crisis of creativity. That's like saying that we have a crisis of not enough breathing humans. If you've got humans, you've got them breathing. And if you've got humans, you've got creativity. We are all creative. We are all creators. That's what we do. We create by imagining. Everything is first a thought, then it becomes a thing. You know, Mike Dooley says, thoughts become things, choose the good ones. Brilliant. That's just brilliant, because it's the choice. It's the choice that we make that causes us to be able to express our brilliance. Most of us choose not to, for whatever reason. We get scared, we get judgmental, we get whatever, and we don't express that genius that's inside us. The interesting thing about walking into any room, if I go to do a speaking engagement or a residency somewhere, I'll walk into the room, and one of the first things that I tend to do is say, okay, raise your hand if you've ever had to stop and think. So everybody raises their hand because everybody's had to stop and think. And as soon as all those hands are in the air, I say, got news for you. No, you didn't. You don't have to stop and think. We think faster than we can even perceive. There are all kinds of statistics out there that range from us thinking 20,000 thoughts a day to as many as 600,000 thoughts a day, including all of those, you know, this itches, that twitches, whatever kind of thoughts. But we have at least, at a bare minimum, 20,000 recognized thoughts a day. So then the question becomes, isn't it possible, isn't it likely that at least one of those 20,000 thoughts was absolutely brilliant? Well, when people say that they had to stop and think because all those hands went into the air, the actual reality is, and the next question I ask them is, well, you didn't have to stop and think. So what did you stop to do? Because you didn't stop to think. You were already thinking faster than you were even aware of. As Deepak Chopra says, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. The bad news is that most of them are the same thoughts as we had the day before. Yeah. So if you didn't stop to think, what did you stop to do? Well, you stopped to censor, you stopped to judge, you stopped to choose, you stopped to pick, you stopped to perceive what was going on in the room and whether or not it was a safe place to offer, right? And so that's what we spend most of our time doing. And it's ingrained in us from the very beginning. That's what we teach our children to do. We teach our children immediately when it's appropriate to express their thoughts. Babies are born expressing themselves eminently clearly. Anybody who has ever seen a hungry baby scream at the top of their lungs knows a child can express themselves without hesitation. They express the immediate thought. When children play, when toddlers play, when they make believe, they're not worried about who's watching them. When children are doing what, they're not worried about who's watching them unless they're, doing something wrong. They might be concerned if they've grown to the point where they understand that there is a wrong, then, they might be looking around to check and see who's watching. But for the most part, children, when they are imagining, children, when they are playing, they are not censoring. They're not checking. They're not judging. And neither should we. Ultimately, if we could learn to play again like children, I often say that I spent most of my adult career in universities teaching adults how to relearn how to play.